You join us today in the Lincolnshire countryside at Cadwell Park. They're often described as Britain's answer to the mini Nürburgring, and Lyndsay, qualifying in the Mazda B race was quite exciting.
It was, Lloyd. Actually, what had happened was Sam Smith, as you all know, was a championship contender last year, was actually knocked out with a bit of an incident with Adam Bessel. Again, somebody that we expect to be a bit high up there in the grid. So they're starting at the back of the track for the B grid, so it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, we wouldn't normally expect to see them in the B race, so this is going to be exciting to see how they go through the race. To talk us through that, it's over to Andy McEwan.
Yeah, thanks guys. Well, we'll keep an eye on those two from the back of the grid. At the front of the grid, though, it's Richard Wootton on pole position with Christina Holly alongside. Bryn Griffiths and Thomas Jenkins next, ahead of Jack Moody and Oliver Jenkins, with Clive Chisnall, Bruce Robinson, Adrian Johnson and Graham Rumsey rounding out the top 10. Michael Nibbs and Stuart Ross French are next, ahead of Christian Dan and Jake Stiles, then Christopher Ginn and Charlie Rawls, with Thomas Mallet and Toby Owen on the ninth row of the grid. Row 10, Aaron Dinapola and Adam Tyrrell, then Adam Tyler with Jonathan Fieldsend next, ahead of Richard Bartlett and Ashley Heath, and there at the back of the grid, Adam Bessel and Sam Smith. So we'll keep an eye on those two from the back. At the front though, the black and yellow striped car is Richard Wootton. He is on pole position. The blue and silver alongside, or purple and silver alongside, is Christina Holly. As the lights go out, we're away and racing, and a good start made by the red number 56 car of Thomas Jenkins from the inside of row number 2 as well. Goes on the grass around the outside of Christina Holly, who suddenly didn't seem to accelerate quite as quickly as she should have been, and a few cars behind having to take avoiding action as they rush up towards turn number 1, on board with Bruce Robinson looking backwards, and there is the 222 car of Adrian Johnson. So Adrian, who started 9th, is slipping outside the top 10 now in the early stages. Wootton leads the way though. Griffiths in second place, third place for Thomas Jenkins. So Christina Holly has been the big loser here, really. Side-by-side action there, 82 and 26. 26 is Charlie Rawls, 82 Michael Nibbs, who started in front of him. And then I think that pale blue and white car was Adam Bessel from the back of the grid, already inching up towards the top 15 or so. There he is on the outside line. The second pale blue and white car is Jake Stiles, and somewhere in amongst all of that is the white and red of Sam Smith. There towards the tail end of the field is number 34, that's Adam Tyrrell, rounding Park Corner. Novice Gross on the back of his car, as Adam, one of the Masters contenders as well, makes his first steps into the world of motor racing. Down the hill though, into Mansfield for the first time, there is Christina Holly then, so she's dropped down into 5th position in the early stages. Oliver Jenkins appears to be the driver behind her. Bryn Griffiths though has the race lead, so Bryn Griffiths somewhere has got past Richard Wootton, who is down to 2nd place. And then 3rd place for Thomas Jenkins. So a bit of shuffling in the order here at the front of the field. Further back, that's looks like that's Adam Bessel going around the outside of another car that had been elbowed out wide through the first part of the mountain. Then we're into the Hall Bends though, this single file part of the circuit really, but a spectacular part of the circuit it is to watch from, as many spectators are doing here in the afternoon sunshine. So down the hill into the final corner then, completion of the first lap then of race 1B. There's number 45 going through, that's Graham Rumsey. Best overtaking opportunities on the circuit there is coming up, and Sam Smith had a good exit from Charlie's. I was about to say that if he gets in the slipstream up the Park Straight, he could have a lunge at the top of the hill. I don't think he needs to have a lunge because he's fully alongside already as a result of that superior exit speed from the double apex right-hander. He's up the inside line, and Sam Smith is going to go through. Yes, nicely done. And in fact, Richard Wootton tries to take advantage of the door being opened by Sam Smith, and he puts his foot in that door and tries to get up the inside at Chris Curve. The road keeps on going right here, but the wider, more sweeping line carries a bit more momentum for Bryn Griffiths, and he's able to hang on to 3rd. And I expect Sam Smith should now have the pace to pull away from these two. So Bessel and Smith from the back row of the grid look like they're going to finish 1st and 2nd in this B race. Sam's still pushing on though, out on the grass there as they came out of Mansfield. Be careful doing that though, you can get in all sorts of trouble for exceeding track limits. Continue to do it, not only do you get warned for it, but you can have time added onto your race, and that would potentially put drivers outside of this top 5, which is so important. Sam relishing the clean air, and this will be a bit of a test session now for him to figure out what, if anything, needs changing on the car for the race, for the A race tomorrow. Because of course, he didn't get a lap in qualifying, nor did Adam Bessel, so this is the first real track time they've had this weekend. Stretching of tyres as they come into view there. 57 is Oliver Jenkins going up the inside of Michael Nibbs at the final corner. They almost lean on each other. Nibbs is going to try and hang his ground there though. This is all going on behind Clive Chisnall, who is at the head of that particular queue. car run by BC Cars Motorsport. On to its final lap of the race then. Race 1B has been an entertaining affair. We've seen two very quick drivers carving through from the back of the grid, but that has far from been the only source of entertainment in this one. There has been the usual plethora of battling up and down the order, and it's not quite done yet. As Clive Chisnall is going to have to watch his mirrors here to try and keep the baying pack at bay. Look, immediately, as soon as he comes out of Charlie's, moves over to the right-hand side of the road. He knows he has to defend. As the cars behind will attack up the inside if they can. They may choose to attack up the outside, and indeed I think they might be, because that is a move being attempted there by Charlie Rawls, who's already gained great ground in this race, and whilst he's going to miss out on a top 5 finish in this one, he's got to be one of the favourites to make it into a promotional spot in race 2. Keep an eye on that tomorrow when the second B race grids up. He's going to be somewhere near the front. Of course, at the very front of the second B grid will be the 5 relegated drivers from the first A race, so they arguably start as the favourites, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly how it all works itself out over the course of these 6 Mazda MX-5 Championship races this weekend. 3 A races, 3 B races. Let's bring Griffiths then through the Hall Bends for the final time. Adam Bessel well on his way to a victory. There's Sam Smith in second position. Griffiths and Wootton third and fourth. That's the battle that's going to go right down to the wire, but I don't think that Wootton's going to be able to do it. Out of the final corner they come. Nope, it's going to stay as it was. So Adam Bessel takes the victory in our first B race of the weekend. Second place goes the way of Sam Smith, and Bryn Griffiths is in third with Richard Wootton in fourth position. Really nice battle between the two of them. It was for the lead for most of that race until Bessel and Smith came along, and they were not easy passes either to make for those two. Hats off to the rest of the B grid competitors for really putting up a fight. So confirmation then: Bessel, Smith, Griffiths, Wootton and Jack Moody will be your promoted drivers to the A grid tomorrow. Clive Chisnall just misses out, so too Charlie Rawls, Thomas Jenkins, Michael Nibbs and Christina Holly rounds out the top 10 in the end after her poor start. Adam Tyler is the only non-finisher, so he will therefore have to start at the back of the grid again for tomorrow's B race, while Sam Smith, on this charge through the field to second place, sets the fastest lap.
With the Mazda 2Bs ready to head out onto the circuit for the second race. You can see that the weather here at Cadwell Park is much better today than yesterday. Richard's on pole position. It's over to Andy to take you through all of the action.
Race 2B for the Mazda MX-5 Championship about to get underway here at Cadwell Park. We've got the 5 drivers at the front of the grid who were relegated after race 1A. They are Richard Baxter on pole position, Nick Ledoyne alongside, Ivan Leary, and then non-finishers Jason Greatrex and Lewis Cannon 4th and 5th. Clive Chisnall just missed out on a promotion spot in the previous race with Charlie Rawls, Thomas Jenkins, Michael Nibbs and Christina Holly rounding out the top 10. Then it's Bruce Robinson and Oliver Jenkins with Graham Rumsey and Adrian Johnson next. Stuart Ross French and Christian Dan are ahead of Jake Stiles and Christopher Ginn, with Thomas Mallet and Aaron Danapola rounding out the top 20. We had just the one retirement from our first B race. That is Adam Tyler, who lines up at the back of the grid alongside Adam Tyrrell at the tail end of the field. 20 minutes of racing then. The grey number 61 car is Richard Baxter on pole position. The best start, though, appears to have been made from the outside of row number 2 there by Jason Greatrex, as you might expect. And here on the inside comes Lewis Cannon, the number 8 car. Both of them non-finished the first A race. Indeed, Lewis Cannon was out at the first corner. You'd think he might have a slightly more circumspect view of the start of this race, but no, he's straight in on the grass. Looks to have survived the first turn, though, as indeed does everybody else. Through Charlie's now for the first time of asking, and out along the park straight. And who is going to come out on top at the end of it? Well, they're all still jockeying for position. That's Michael Nibbs at the inside of the red number 56 car of Thomas Jenkins, who got a good start in race 1. This time, he sort of held his ground, so no real gains made. And the head of the field, though, is that Greatrex leading? Yes, it is. Jason Greatrex ahead of Richard Baxter at the front of the field, with Ivan Leary in third, that looks like, in the number 25 machine. Rest of them picking their way through. 53 there is Jonathan Fieldsend, the pale blue car with the yellow roll cage. He's second to last at the moment as they round the first couple of corners. Looks like that's Adam Tyrrell behind him. This is the fight for third, though. Third place is Ivan Leary. Fourth is Lewis Cannon. Then for 5th position, it is very close indeed. Looks like that is... now, who is that that's in 5th position? Didn't quite catch the number there. Charlie Rawls is in that group as well. He's 6th, I can tell you that much. He's the grey car with the yellow stripe. 7th for Clive Chisnall. So Chisnall's lost a position. And 8th place for Jenkins. He's where he started. as they work their way up the hill. It'll be Nick Ledoyen, won't it? Nick Ledoyen is the man who's in 5th position, number 60, having started 2nd, so he one of the big losers on the opening lap. One of the big winners though, Jason Greatrex, no doubt about it. Jason, who you would not expect usually to be in the B races. He's one of those drivers who's only here because of a non-finish in the first A encounter. And whenever that's the case, it's usually those kind of drivers that you expect to run away with these B races. The real battling is going to be behind him to see who else gets into these promotional spots. Nose to tail battle here then for that 5th position as they run up towards turn number 1 for the 2nd time. It is Nick Ledoyen who's in that 5th place, 6th place for the fast starting Charlie Rawls. It's behind them, this man Clive Chisnall. See just how physical this circuit is, just how quick it is as well. For such a narrow circuit, you don't half carry some speed through these corners. This three-way fight for 5th place is moving at a very rapid pace, but we might be about to see a change of position here, I reckon, because on the inside line, on the exit of Charlie's corner, appropriately enough, goes Charlie Rawls, who gets a good exit, goes up the inside of Nick Ledoyen and opens the door for Clive Chisnall to try and follow him through as well. In fairness to Ledoyen, he's standing his ground on the outside line, but Chisnall will have the inside line again for Charlie's, urging the car on as he gets to the inside for the first of the 2 apexes here. That's the first one. And then the second one coming up, and he's still carrying a very tight line, so it looks as though maybe Nick Ledoyen is still around here somewhere. Can we turn into the left-hander? Yes, we can. So we've made the move stick, and Chisnall goes through. So Nick Yet again, we keep saying that you can't really overtake at that part of the circuit unless you see the car in front make a mistake. And there's a mistake now for Ivan Leary. He runs wide there at Barn Corner, and there was almost a chance for Jenkins to get back up the inside. So 1 or 2 mistakes creeping in now as we get into the latter part of the race. Jenkins is going to be alongside, I think, as they come across the start-finish line. No, not quite. Ducks back into the toe. Onto the final lap of the race as well, up towards the first corner, and well, if these two keep on at it like this, then Chisnall might be able to join back in the fun as well. Here's the leader, by the way, Lewis Cannon. Remember him? He's pulled out about a 6-second lead over Jason Greatrex in 2nd place, and looks like he's going to take the victory in our 2nd B race of the weekend here at Cadwell Park. After the initial overtaking that he had to do, and that great battle that he had with Jason Greatrex, much of the action has been happening outside of the top 5, actually. Looks as though Cannon, Greatrex and Richard Baxter are going to be our podium finishers. Over the mountain. Back with this battle. Now Chisnall is back with these two. Look, Ivan Leary and Oliver Jenkins, excuse me. Coming down towards the gooseneck. So can Chisnall now regain any of these lost positions, I wonder? Through the left, downhill. Leary seems to be out of striking range for the time being, but we've seen these positions change hands at the most unexpected of times, and it might happen again because Leary's off the road. Oh, there's contact, big contact, and off. They're all going to go off. They're all off. What a shame that it had to end that way, and unfortunately Clive Chisnall had nowhere to go. Here's the replay. Leary gets into a huge tank slapper, and look at the air time that Oliver Jenkins gets. And unfortunately for Clive Chisnall, he thinks that the gap is going to be on the left-hand side of the road, and that is exactly the part of the circuit that Leary starts to slide into, right across his bows, and all 3 of them out on the final lap after a great battle that it had been as well. Well, that is real drama, but the race victory has gone the way of Lewis Cannon. Jason Greatrex 2nd and Richard Baxter 3rd, with Charlie Rawls and Thomas Jenkins into the top 5. And that drama will elevate a few others a bit further up the order than they expected to be as well. Cannon, though, avoids all of the drama. He takes the victory by just over 6 seconds in the end from Greatrex and Baxter. Rawls and Jenkins. Then Christina Holly is 6th, Christian Dan 7th, Stuart Ross French is 8th, with Jake Stiles 9th and Graham Rumsey rounding out the top 10. We lost quite a few though. Ivan Leary, Oliver Jenkins and Clive Chisnall in spectacular fashion are out on the final lap, with Adam Tyler, Adrian Johnson, Nick Ledoyen and Michael Nibbs joining them as non-finishers from our 2nd B race of the weekend.
Lewis, you started 5th but you came pole. Tell us how you did it.
Not really too sure with that one. It just bit by bit, slowly. Took my time, so we didn't have a repeater yesterday. So
Must have been better now that the sun's out though.
yeah, we're lucky we're out, to be honest. Last night we didn't think we'd be racing today, so credit to the boys. The car's back, working as it should be. So, yeah.
So going up into the A race, any plans?
Don't crash it.
Always a good one. Right, we'll wish you the best of luck and congratulations.
Cheers, Lyndsay.
Jason, you're in the Bs. We normally see you in the A, but you will be going back up this afternoon.
Yeah, we can't wait to get back in the A's, score some proper points there. But yeah, we got put in the Bs because we had a stone go through the radiator yesterday. So back in the A's now, see what we can do from there.
So any plans starting 4th on the back? Are you going to just try and race up the inside?
Just going to go, well, there's not much room around here, so I might have to go on the grass a little bit, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how far we can get up in the 3rd race this afternoon.
Richard, you started pole, but you still managed to claw your way back up to 3rd. Bit different from the Radicals.
Oh, I mean, you've just got to manage the car all the way through the race. I'm still learning. I mean, I've got gears now instead of paddle shift, so there's actually a lot more going on in the cockpit. This is a more technical challenge, and it's just so competitive keeping up with those guys. They were fast, so I'm happy with where we are.
So obviously you're going up into the A race this afternoon. You excited for it?
Very. That's why I'm here. I'm just desperate to get into the A race, break through the mid-pack and get into the top 10. That's the goal for this season, so we'll see how we go.
Well, fingers crossed for you, and congratulations again.
Right, cheers. Thank you.
As you can see, the cars are getting ready to go out onto track for the final B race of the weekend here at Cadwell Park. David Waters is starting on pole position. It's over to Andy for the final time to take us through all of the action.
Thanks, Lloyd. Well, the front of this grid sees a few familiar faces, a few drivers returning to B racing action today. David Waters on pole with one of those drivers, Richard Wootton, alongside. Seb Fisher and Adam Bessel, having worked so hard to get into the A group, retired from his A race, so he's back on row number 2. Bryn Griffiths is next ahead of Christina Holly, then Christian Dan, Stuart Ross French, Jake Stiles and Graham Rumsey to round out the top 10 drivers. Hopefully everyone will get out there. We saw that spectacular last lap shunt in the second B race earlier on this morning between Clive Chisnall, Oliver Jenkins and Ivan Leary. Let's hope that all 3 of those are out towards the back of the field. Looks like they will be. And so for the final time this weekend, the Mazda MX-5 Championship about to burst into life with the blue car of David Waters on pole position. A lot of creeping there for both of our front row men before the race got underway, but it does now get underway. And Richard Wootton, the black and yellow car, going toe-to-toe with the pole sitter down towards turn number 1. Adam Bessel, though, in 4th position on the grid, arguably the pre-race favourite here. A bit of squeezing going on as they run into the first corner there. We're on board with Bruce Robinson, the number 20 car there, trying to join in the action is Christopher Ginn on the inside, and there Ivan Leary, so we definitely can see that he's out on the circuit. He's going up the inside of Ashley Heath. The silver car is Clive Chisnall, the white and red is Oliver Jenkins. So yes, all 3 of those cars back out on circuit after their dramas in the previous race. Part straight they go. There's Jake Stiles in the sort of, what would you call that, not quite turquoise, is it? The light blue and white car, number 2 in the middle of the pack. Side by side for the race lead though, and Adam Bessel already is out in front. He hasn't had to overtake quite as many drivers as he did in the first B race, where he started from the back of the grid to win. This time around he started 4th, and before they're halfway around the first lap, Bessel is out in front. So Adam Bessel could be on course therefore at this rate to become the first double winner in these B races, because we've had such a variety of drivers who have raced at the front of these grids. We haven't yet had anybody win 2 of them. Adam Bessel, they will be his only 2 wins of the season so far as well. He would much rather they were A race victories. We know he's got the pace to compete towards the sharp end in the A races, but for this weekend that's not been possible. Side by side though for second, look at Seb Fisher goes up the inside of Richard Wootton. That was a nice and forceful move into the bottom of the mountain. Wootton down to 3rd with David Waters 4th, and I think Bryn Griffiths back in 5th position. Bryn, remember, was 3rd in the first B race, and that bought him a ticket to the A grid, but he was then back in the bottom 5 again in race 2A. He's dropped down to the B grid once again. Waters there on the inside of Richard Wootton, who gets sideways and does a really nice job to save it. Waters, in fairness to him, backed out of it so as not to gain a position as a result of the contact, but Wootton's now off again, and this is Waters' opportunity to get back alongside, side by side then for 3rd place as they run down the pit straight, and Bryn Griffiths will no doubt try to join in the fun as well. He's in the slipstream as they go towards turn number 1. Waters has gone through. Griffiths backs out of going around the outside though, possibly sensibly so. Bruce Robinson now looking back. That looks like it is one of the AB Motorsport cars behind us possibly. As we turn our way through the double apex right-hander at Charlie's. Back towards the sharp end though, inside the top 5 here, but no promotional spots for this. This is the final race of the weekend, so there is no A race to be promoted into. So it's all about just getting as many points as you can salvage really from this race. A win in a B race is not worth as many points as a win in the A race, of course, but it's still a win, and it still is some championship points. So if any of these drivers, particularly the likes of Adam Bessel, feel that they could potentially be fighting for an outright top 5 in the championship, then race victories are essential really when you find yourself down in the B grid. And he should hopefully have a shot at setting the fastest lap as well. back towards the mountain they go. And Richard Wootton really going for it in this final race, despite the fact he's under no pressure. He's managed to pick up a track limits penalties. Now, they will add 5 laps onto his race time. 5 seconds, excuse me, but that should be okay. I think he should be able to hang on to the race lead. It's about 8 seconds or so ahead of Seb Fisher in second place. We'll find out in less than a lap though, because we are on to the final lap of the race now. Adam Bessel, 5-second time penalty. Has less than a lap now to try and ensure that he keeps this gap big enough. Now there is Bessel. The next car behind is a back marker, so I think he's got 5 seconds in hand over Seb Fisher. But what was looking like a guaranteed race victory is now a little bit in doubt. Car number 4 as it rounds the long right-hander here. Heads down the hill into Mansfield corner once again. Adam Bessel, a best finish this season so far of 6th place in the A races. He's been in the A races every race of the season until this weekend, which really has not gone to plan. A non-finish and these 2 B races will therefore become his dropped scores. And although they are waves to the fans up above the up outside the cafe at the top of the hill, although these are potentially going to be 2 race victories for him in the B races, they're not worth anywhere near the points that an A race victory is. You get 100 points for an A race victory. You only get something like 40 or 50 or so for a B race win, but Bessel doesn't really seem all that concerned about that now, because he slides the car in spectacular fashion, not just out to the final corner, but around the entire final sector, and he will become the first 2-time B race winner this year. Adam Bessel takes the checkered flag for the 2nd time this weekend. There he gets notification of the 5-second time penalty, but there Seb Fisher is, nearly 9 seconds back, so on corrected times he will still miss out on the victory by 2.4 seconds. Confirmation of that result then: Fisher 2nd, Waters 3rd, with Bryn Griffiths 4th, and Christina Holly 5th. 6th place goes the way of Graham Rumsey, then Christian Dan, Stuart Ross French, Bruce Robinson and Clive Chisnall rounding out the top 10. So we had some changes there, didn't we? Because Richard Wootton's dropped down to 16th place, so we saw him go off the road once. We have to assume he's been off again. Retirements, while Nick Ledoyen, the only retirement from the race, whilst Adam Bessel sets the fastest lap.
Becoming fastly the man of this weekend, you've had so many engine troubles, but yet still on pole position.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky, really. I think we've just got unlucky and then lucky and then unlucky and then lucky. So, yeah, good end to the weekend, really.
First off, congratulations, first podium, but quickly, talk us through what happened to get you into the Bs.
So yeah, it was a little bit of an unfortunate day, really. I was running really well. I think I was 10th in the A group, and the first time that my car has ever failed in over 5 seasons of racing. My dad has built it so amazingly well. But yeah, one of the ball joints sheared off, so nothing we could have done about it. That put me out of the A group race.
David, happy to be on podium, I'm going to take it. Your 2nd one since France.
Happy-ish, yeah. Yeah, as I said, probably my worst start of the weekend off pole, so yeah, it would have been nice to have been 1 or 2 places higher, but to be fair, those 2 guys were pretty quick, so there's not a lot I could do. Once I was in 3rd, they were just pulling away.